Jack has been around for 46 minutes. That is dedication, man. How's it going? Kurt is here. Hey, Kurt. All right. One thing that I did realize last time is that it is not happy with me trying to use the chat. So how's everybody going? How's everybody doing? I'm exhausted. I'm going to start out by telling you that. Post up and let me know if you can hear me. I'm assuming you can, Jack, from your response, but I want to make sure everything's working because as you've seen many times, it often doesn't. All right, so this thing is going now. Cool. Go there. Give me the chat. Okay. Yeah, I was up till 2:30 last night because I'm an idiot. So that is my fault, but that's why now I'm drinking Monster Energy. I should be sponsored by them or something. All right. Kurt is good. Ready for a long weekend? Oh, man. Okay. This is amazing. Everybody can hear everything. Everything is working. Let me post in the Overland Radio chat, too, in case anybody's over there. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Welcome. So we got Jack. We got Dylan. We got Kyle. Hey, Kyle. We got Kurt. All right. We got the whole crew, I think. And the normal crew is here. Good to see you guys. Thanks for stopping by to see me stumble through about 5 hours of sleep. So another swig of this. Green Man Void of Haze. Is that some sort of like a hazy IPA? That sounds amazing. I've never heard of that. I don't think we have that here in Indiana. Yeah, I ran out of beer again, as always, so I'm drinking Monster tonight. So tonight I'm going to go ahead and go through the normal spiel. I know that most of you guys have been on here before and seen this, but in case somebody's watching this later or if you're new to the channel, my name's Fletch. I run this channel called All Things Overlanding, and we do these live chats every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm streaming in multiple places. I'm on YouTube, but I'm also on a website called overlandradio.com. So if you prefer the radio stuff or if you're out and about and you can't watch the YouTube stuff, either place works. Feel free to hop in either place. If you are listening on overlandradio.com, there is a big button in the banner at the top that says chat with us. Click on that and you can chat. I've got that pulled up so I can see you. And then same with, YouTube. If you're in there, you can chat right along on the chat on YouTube. So welcome. Again, if you're new, if you enjoy the content, if you have a good time, click the like button. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell button if you're not already subscribed, just so that you don't miss anything when I drop new videos. I do a couple videos a week on YouTube. I put these shows back up on Overland Radio as well, so they're everywhere. Wherever you want to get them, you can get them. Also, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and all podcast channels. So again, anywhere you want to listen, feel free. So tonight we're going to be talking about, so we got some recommendations from the crew, from everybody that stops by and joins these chats frequently, right? So we're going to be talking about planning trips. I'm going to talk through some of the websites that I use for trips, and then GPS options. So, and I thank you guys for coming. Yes, Jack, come to Indiana and we will go overlanding. Because I'm not great at planning trips, to be honest. Like my sort of strategy has always been find somebody that kind of knows the area and like go ride their coattails, honestly, because it's just like, I've never been there before, but I need to get better at it. It's one of those things where as I go to expos and stuff this year, that's definitely the plan, is like any of the navigation stuff I'm going to. You'll see it here. Well, it'll be a week from Sunday, but I interviewed Matt McClellan of Ozark Overland Adventure. He's got a YouTube channel with some really cool stuff, really cool videos, but he is kind of like a navigation expert, and he does a lot of stuff with Gaia. So I'm definitely going to be, that'll be posted up a week from Sunday. This Sunday's video is going to be the like finishing touches on the do-it-yourself rooftop tent. And then it'll be Matt's interview. And then the week after that will be the final walk around of the finished rooftop tent, so that everybody can see all the details, everything that I've done, and kind of the finished product. So just a little sneak peek there. But tonight, again, back to the topic at hand. We're talking about planning trips. We're talking about GPS. So I'll prep you guys a little bit that are in the chat so that you can start to feed in some stuff, some of your thoughts. I'm going to start with sort of how I come up with ideas for planning trips, how I find locations and things like that. But so if you guys can post up and just say anything that you guys do, like what's your strategy? What's your, what do you want to call it? Like what's your plan whenever you're getting ready to go on a trip and you're thinking ahead and you're trying to figure out where you want to go? Maybe it's, likely a place you've never been. How do you find those spots, right? Like how do you, if you've never been, like when I went to West Virginia last year, I'd never been to West Virginia on an overlanding trip, so I had no idea where anything was. I didn't know how to find anything, so I had to get creative and just start figuring things out, right? So some of the ways that I have done it in the past is, again, Facebook groups, just like most things nowadays. On Facebook groups, you can pretty much figure out anything you want. So like I'm planning a trip down to Kentucky. It was supposed to be going before all this stuff hit. Now it'll be after because I couldn't go. But I'm planning a trip to the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, and just from joining a couple of Facebook groups for like the Kentucky Adventure Trail, and like the Red River Gorge and the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, those three main ones, I just went through that and kind of searched through those Facebook groups and found a ton of really good information, like awesome spots that people had found, different trails, and they talked through with pictures in most cases the difficulty of those trails, which is awesome, especially if you've never been, right? Like I want to be prepared. I don't want to like pre-plan it to the point where it's no fun, but I at least want to have a couple of points on my map where I know that I want to go see. Then the stuff in between is that sort of made up fun stuff, right? Where you find new stuff and things that you weren't expecting to kind of come across. But so the Facebook groups, I think, for me, that's probably like number one. That's where I go to start building a plan. And then, you know what I'll do too? I'll pull up, I'm going to show you guys. Let me find it. While I'm talking here, I've got actually that Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway plan that I started to make. So let me see if I can find it. So what I do is I make like a Google Doc. Sometimes it's a spreadsheet. It just depends, right? It doesn't really matter. A spreadsheet or just a regular old Google Doc. But then when I find these places in like on Facebook, I'll copy and paste like, the GPS coordinates if they put those up there, or the cross streets or anything like that. And sometimes I'll even pull pictures and stuff into it. So I'm going to try and find that, and then I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can see it. All right, here we go. Red River Gorge trip. Oh, that's my packing list. Yeah, I'm really weird and like OCD. Like I enjoy planning almost as much as like the actual trip. Like I literally will make like notes and notes and notes and notes. And like the same with like packing lists too. I don't know if you guys do that, but like I literally have like spreadsheets and spreadsheets and spreadsheets that just like have check boxes on them so I can go through and check, because like half the time I forget one or two major things that I really need for the trip. So without those checklists, I feel like I'm always forgetting something. So of course now I can't find this thing. So, well, we won't look at that then. But anyways, I made like a Google Doc of it that just said like, again, I dropped in the locations, and then I started then you pull up a map side by side. Like usually I use Google Maps, but I'll pull up a map side by side, and I'll be looking at the places that I want to go and kind of planning them out and seeing, what makes sense, how far apart are they, what can I hit on, day 1, day 2, day 3, and I kind of make a plan like that, and then I document it all in my Google Doc, and then that's kind of how I plan it. So that is that. So yeah, Google Maps, I like Google Maps quite a bit. I find that they work pretty well. I mean, obviously you get out into some places, like when I was in West Virginia, I had absolutely no cell phone reception whatsoever. So like when you don't have cell phone reception, if you were hooked up before you lost it, then I can at least see where I am using the GPS on the map. But I cannot like drop pins. I can't mark anything. It sucks. You can't pull anything up. That's why I'm curious about Gaia, and we'll get into that when we get going here. Like if you guys have experience with Gaia, but it just seems like with Gaia, you can do a lot more. You can still drop pins. I think you can do a lot of stuff when you don't have internet access. So I definitely need a better tool. But for me, Google Maps works pretty well for most of the stuff that I do around here anyways. But I've definitely had some problems when I left the state. So, all right, I'm going to take a break here and dive into the comments because there's quite a few here. So, does this make us groupies now? Yes, Kurt, you guys are groupies. Okay, it says that beer, the Green Man Void of Haze, is like a hazy IPA, and it is from North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina. Cool. Jack says he wants to do a collab. Yes, we can definitely do that. That would be fun. All right, Kurt says, all I've been able to do is Google Earth, Overland Bound forums, and YouTube. That's a good point. I mean, I put forums on here too, but there is a ton of good stuff. Expedition Portal is a good one because they have the local groups. And in there, you can find a lot of good stuff too. So that's a good point. Same with Overland Bound forums. They have those like the broken down by area. So that's a great idea too. That's definitely one that you can check. The thing about Facebook for me is, one, I'm on it all the time. And two, like it's pretty easy to search and people post up on it, I feel like, more frequently than they do on like forums and stuff. But I think both together are a great idea. So that's good. MVUMs. The multi-vehicle use maps, yep, those are good references. I do typically, so like when I went up to kind of closer to your neck of the woods, Jack, I went up to Manistee a couple years ago and I downloaded PDFs of the MVUMs. And I got up there and I hit some spots where I was like completely out of reception. I didn't have anything, none of my maps would work. And I had to pull up the MVUMs to figure out where the heck I was. It's a little bit trickier, right? Like it's old school. It's like pulling out the atlas from behind the seat, but at least I had like a digital copy on my phone that I could zoom in and out on and like find where I was and then like kind of plan where I was going to go. It's a little bit slower going. Like the GPS has kind of spoiled me a little bit, but it's really nice to have. So I mean, that's a great idea, the MVUM. So that would be my tip, I guess, with that is download them digitally to your phone. Have a PDF. Like don't store a link, because then if you don't have reception, you're screwed. But just download it to your phone and then you will have a copy of it. I just keep it in my files or whatever, and then I can go into it and just zoom if I need to. And I've had to do that several times. So definitely good. And then Jack's right. Yeah, the U.S. Forestry Service puts it out. So you can just Google like MVUM for whatever area you want to go to and you'll find it. So like if you do Manistee National Forest MVUM, boom, it'll pull right up and you can download it. All right, Kurt is making fun of me for... See, I don't use Microsoft Excel. I'm sorry to say it, but I hate Microsoft products with a passion. Like, I have one PC and it is like the bane of my existence. So I've made the full switch to Mac now. I hate Microsoft stuff. I just hate it. It just doesn't work, man. It's a pain in the ass. Okay, Kyle says he's got checklists for his checklist. That's right. Yep. That's... God, mine's so bad. And then Kurt says, awesome. Thanks, Jack. I'll check those out. The MVUMs. You can get them right in Gaia. Oh, yeah. I've heard that. In Gaia, you can get the MVUMs. Yeah, I need to get better at Gaia. I've got it pulled up, and I'll show it to you guys here in a second. I've got that pulled up in a couple other sites that I'll show you. But so Kurt says, my goal is to get a tablet for the truck in Gaia. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, too. When my kids have iPads for school that they don't take care of, and they're getting about to that point where they're like 3 or 4 years old and they can't use them anymore in school. So I think I'm going to steal one of those whenever they have to get a new one, and I'm going to make that into my like dedicated map thing for the truck. So Kyle says he uses Gaia and Avanza maps for offline. Interesting. I've never heard of Avanza before. Avanza, Avanza maps. Jack says, I always download gigs and gigs of satellite imagery before I go out on any adventure. Yeah, that's smart. I always make sure to update my Google Maps because many times I've gotten out in the middle of nowhere and then it's like, hey, you need to download 700 megabytes worth of updates and it takes forever. It just won't go. So yeah, if you can download the maps and just have them so that just at least with the GPS, you can manually kind of find where you are and look at stuff, that's a good idea. Good point. So more stuff. So the Facebook groups, Google Maps, those are great. Funny enough, like I just kind of said with the MVUMs, like literally just doing a Google search on the area is the way that I kind of like to start it. So I'll just go to Google and I will literally type, yeah, Kurt, I think iPads do need a GPS puck. I think that the newer ones, I don't know. See, that's part of why I'm not good at this and I don't do it. Is because like there's so many rules and weird things, and then like I'm gonna spend all this time and set up this iPad and download all this stuff, and I'm gonna get out there and it's not gonna work. I've been on the Gaia site and like kind of read through their forums and their documentation and stuff, and it doesn't seem very clear to me. Maybe I'm an idiot. It's very possible. But like, yeah, it seems like that there's some sort of confusion or some sort of difficulty. There's only certain iPads that it works on, only certain tablets that it works on. I feel like there's a lot of people that have said that there are some really cheap, newer Samsung tablets that are great for this stuff. So like there's definitely some specific types of tablets that you need to make this work. Jack says he runs an external GPS receiver for his iPad. That's kind of cool. I didn't even know you could get those. How much does one of those cost, Jack, if you don't mind me asking? But so while I'm waiting for him to reply, then I will just go to Google sometimes and I'll just say like literally like the dumbest stuff you can think of, right? Like stuff to see near Manistee National Forest and just see like that OARC Cafe down in like the Ozarks. I literally randomly stumbled upon that before I ever saw it in like anybody else's video or like on a group or anything like that, just by Googling it and hearing about it. And I was like, oh, I'll drop that on my little map. And then I searched for it. And then I started to see that it's like this crazy sort of like famous place that overlanders always hit up and all that stuff. So yeah, just Googling for things like sites to see and stuff like that. Now, granted, you do that, you're going to get to all the stuff that like most of the touristy people go to, but it's not necessarily bad to hit that stuff on your way away from the tourists, right? To get sort of out into the middle of nowhere. So Google searches are not bad either. You can still find stuff that you'd like wouldn't want to miss. So I still do those. And then, like I said earlier, like my main GPS strategy, if you will, is literally finding someone else that has planned a trip or knows the area and saying like, hey, buddy, you want to go on a trip? I'd love to go hit your neck of the woods and have you show me around and show me all the cool stuff. And people are like, seem really happy to do it. And you get to meet new people and you get to see new stuff. And then there's way less chance of like you losing a whole day because you went the wrong way or because you thought that this one thing was in this one place and it totally wasn't. So I like the idea of like having an expert, like a subject matter expert on the area with you. So I definitely think that that is not a terrible strategy, right? What do you guys think? All right, so that was kind of like my planning trips, right? So Facebook groups, I'll drop pins and stuff in Google Maps so that I've kind of got them. I'll download all my updates and all the things that I need before I leave for the trip. I will just Google like places to see, on the trip, when I get down there, near a national forest, that kind of stuff. And then if at all possible, I will try and find somebody that is knowledgeable of the area and like try and hook up with them. Like, again, I mentioned earlier that I did that interview of Matt McClellan from Ozarks Overland Adventures. And by the end of that interview, I was like, by the way, you've probably heard me say it before, but I really want to hit up the Ozarks this year. So let me know if you're going. And he was like, dude, yeah, we're planning something here in the next couple months and I'll let you know. So now I'm like, perfect. This guy knows Gaia really well. He knows the Ozarks really well. Instead of me going down there and wasting a weekend or 3 or 4 days and stumbling around and trying to find stuff and getting lost half the time, now I can go with a guy that like knows it like the back of his hand and see all the coolest stuff, So especially if you've got to drive, 8-10 hours away to get to something, like I don't want to waste that trip. I don't want to go all the way down there and then lose half a day or a day because I did something stupid or went somewhere that I shouldn't or missed the thing that I wanted because my GPS coordinates were wrong or something like that. So finding an expert, I think, is good. All right, so Jack says cellular iPads have GPS. He says $89 for the Bluetooth GPS receiver. I mean, that's not bad. If you got a $500 tablet and you slap another $89 dongle on it, that's not bad. There's an Amazon link. All right, cool. I'll look that up and I can put it in the description of the video too. So if anybody's listening, they want to see the Bluetooth dongle thing, I'll put that down in the description of the video after this live stream wraps up. And then, hey, that hiking guy, local folks know all the best trails indeed. Yes, that is, I'm telling you. If you can do it, you can't always do it, right? And sometimes it's fun to just go solo or just go exploring, but I feel like for me, being in the Midwest, being in Indiana, there's just not a ton of stuff around. So like, again, West Virginia was about 10 hours each way for me. Ozarks is about 8 or 9 hours away. The Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway is like 6-7 hours away. Like, I mean, I got to drive half a day to get to a place. So I just really have this like paranoia that I'm going to get there and I'm going to have all these great plans. And then it's like, it's not going to be nearly as cool as I thought, or it looked on Facebook, right? Or I go down some trail that's private property and I get shot at, or you know what I mean? Like, who knows? You never know, right? I mean, that's half the fun, is the exploring, but if I have somebody that knows the area, that's the way to go. All right, so websites for finding trails. So Kurt threw out gravel maps. So I'm going to pull up my screen here if I can make this work. Boom. All right, so I've got gravel maps here from Kurt. So this is pretty cool, Kurt. I played with this the other day. It keeps defaulting me to Atlanta. I don't know why it thinks I'm in Atlanta, but so you guys can kind of see like these yellow trails, I think, are ones that people have marked. But so it's almost like crowdsourced kind of, it's like a crowdsourced trail app. But so it's got like miles, it's got the elevation. You can put notes in here and leave comments and stuff and talk about it. So like Kurt's thought was, this is intended to be like a bike sort of app, like for people looking for bike trails, but you could use it for off-road. So like, I mean, I think that like you'd have to have a little bit of an idea of like where you were in the world and maybe look for stuff that's like around a national forest. But if you found something in a national forest, you could at least sort of use it to like keep track and document. And some of these have pictures, right? So like you could look at it. It's like, obviously I'm not taking my truck on this one. I can't drive across this 1-lane little bike path, right? But so if they have pictures, especially if you can see that it's like a road or like it's in a national forest and it's like a gravel, some sort of like a road, then you could potentially use this. So like this, right? Like this might be a bike path, but it might be a road too. So I thought this was kind of cool. Like it's just neat, and it's neat that you can just like drop stuff in here too, I think. So it could be a good resource. You could kind of bastardize it for overlanding and just like make your own stuff and then like save your own routes. And even though they wouldn't be bike routes necessarily, it would still be kind of helpful. So it seems pretty cool. But so this is gravelmap.com. Again, when we're done with all this, I'll put all this. Actually, I think I might have already done it. It might already be in the description of the video, but if not, I'll put it down there. So gravel map is cool. So let's see what Kurt is saying. So he says, I'm still trying to wrap my head around overlanding in Indiana. My only experience with the state is on I-80, and it was the flattest state I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, it sucks. It's terrible. I think gravel maps has definite potential. I'm going to keep an eye on it as time goes on. Yeah, I mean, it does. It seems really cool. I did look up, and now, okay, here we go. Here's search. Like I looked up Hoosier National Forest, and there were maps in there. Like there were trails and stuff marked in there. So again, I was like, maybe some people have found some like really like, look at this stuff, right? Like there's stuff everywhere marked all over the place in here. So I'm just like, if I can at least narrow it down to like the Hoosier National Forest area, and then, sort of zoom in, and especially if they took like pictures of this stuff, like in Indiana, to your point, Kurt, there's just not a ton of like trails per se in Indiana. It's mostly just gravel road stuff. But sometimes there was this one trail that they closed off finally, but that was like super rutted out and had some really challenging stuff. And it was an old forest road. And it was awesome. I went on it one time. Actually, if you've ever been to my website, to allthingsoverlanding.com, in the scrolling banner at the top, there's a picture of my truck, like kind of on top of this hill with these giant ruts. I mean, like I had to straddle the ruts because I would have probably scraped on the middle and gotten beached. And like there's got this big blue sky behind it. That's the trail I'm talking about. And you can't get there anymore. They closed that trail. But it was just this like rad, washed out, old trail, and it was maybe like a mile and a half long. So I mean, it wasn't, it's not like you're gonna be driving all day, but it was the coolest thing that I've ever found in Hoosier National Forest. And now it's all closed off. They put barricades in front of it and they closed the road. So because there were a bunch of no offense, but like jeepers or somebody with really big mud tires going back there and just chewing it up. So anyway, so that's gravel road maps, gravelmap.com. So that one's kind of a cool one. This one is one that I use actually quite a bit, this freecampsites.net. Now you have to be a little selective because it sort of tends to, I feel like, give you like campsites, like KOA sites and campsites and things like that, like actual like paid type sites more than dispersed sites. Now there are some dispersed sites in here. But the thing that I like about this is it's very similar to that gravel maps where it's like crowdsourced. But so people can like leave descriptions and like reviews and all that kind of stuff. So like here, like I have no idea. So this is in Terre Haute. I didn't even know that they had campsites and stuff in there. You can rate campsites and stuff though. Like this one has 2 reviews, so you can click in here and see like reviews about it. It gives you the forecast. It tells you about how much they cost, so people can put that in there. It gives you an address, so it makes planning way easier. And then you can sort of read about it and learn, right? So This campground has a nice view on the lake. There's a barbecue and a picnic table, a spot for a car. There's showers and restrooms for free. Nice, friendly people. Like, that's really cool, valuable information to get, right? And then like they can throw pictures up here and stuff. So there's like that lake. I mean, this is, this is not dispersed camping. So I mean, I probably wouldn't go here, but there are some that are dispersed camping, and I just like that you can like upload your own pictures. You can add descriptions. You can talk about if it is a paid site. I'm not going to say that there's anything wrong with paid sites per se. Like, there have definitely been times. God, when was that? When I went on a trip with another guy with an Xterra, and that was the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail trip. We drove around all day looking for a site, and we could not find anything. And so, like, around dinner time, it started to get dark, and we were like, dude, we just have to find something. Like, we just have to find something. And we found this little campsite that was like one of those with the honor box. And it was one of those paid ones where you just drop $10 in or whatever, and in the honor box, and then you go back and you pick a site, you get a little tag, and you go back and you pick it. And it was really nice. They had like free firewood there. So they had like, a big old stack of wood that you could just take from. They were like, free firewood, use as much as you need. So it was actually, after a long day and not being able to find any dispersed campgrounds or campsites, it was actually really refreshing to just like pull in, drop a 10 in, grab a bunch of free firewood, and go and just like make some steak and drink some beer and chill out. So, and those are the type of things that you can find on here, right? So on this freecampsites.net, they've got a ton of stuff like this. So I do like this for kind of pre-planning, especially with the picture, piece of it. So being able to see like what they look like is really nice. Being able to like hear descriptions from people as far as like what, like this one says, what a crap hole. But like, you wouldn't know that, if you just randomly Googled like campgrounds near blah, blah, blah. Of course, you're going to get their website and it's going to be talking about how nice it is and everything, but there's no really good way to know. But in here, people are actually like reviewing them. They're leaving pictures. And so I like this resource quite a bit. So that is freecampsites.net. And I'm missing out on the chat here, so I'm jumping back over to chat. Here, I'll shut off my screen for a second so you guys can see me. All right, so yeah. So people are talking about the Expos, Overland Bound event 4 years ago in Southern Indiana. That's cool. That would have been right around the time when I got my Xterra, so I didn't even hardly know what overlanding was at that point. Kurt asked Jack if he's going to Overland Expo East. He says, I've been to Overland Expo East, Mudfest. Yeah, I heard about that. And he says, Expos are cool and all, but I'd rather be out on a trail than at an Overland Expo. I agree too. I just want to go because I've never been to one. Like, I like the idea of the educational piece of it. I want to learn more about how to use my winch. I want to learn more about, navigation. I want to learn more about, and I like seeing the gear too. I'm not going to lie. Like, I enjoy seeing it, and like looking at it online is one thing, but like seeing it in action is another thing. I just think that's super cool. I don't know that I'd buy anything at an expo because I feel like prices are kind of marked up. Maybe not. But I'd like to at least go to one, right? And like see, I wouldn't mind either. Like, part of the reason I want to go to the expos now is I've met enough people virtually online that make content and stuff, and I feel like they go to expos. It's like I'd like to meet some of those people in real life because it just seems weird talking to them like virtually via like Facebook Messenger or Instagram or something and never having met them. So Jack says he might go to Overland Expo West because that's really one good one to go to. That'd be a trip, but that would be worth it. You get to see some cool stuff out there. You could just camp the whole way too, which would be awesome. Kyle says he's getting ready for Core 2020 and VOBS 2020 this year. What's VOBS? Do I know that? What's VOBS, Kyle? I'm going to Core this year too, though, in September. So that's exciting. So hopefully a lot of you guys are there. We can meet up. Kurt says, I've never been to an expo, but I might go this year. I signed up for the Adventure X Fest with Mountain State Overland. I love those guys, which is all day overlanding in a base camp at night. Yeah, I've always really liked the Mountain State Overland guys' videos because like they're real dudes, So I've always liked their channel and I like their stuff a lot when they post stuff on like Instagram and stuff. Jack says, what is VOBS? Yeah, I don't know what VOBS is. Sorry for going off the rails in chat, Fletch. You guys are fine. This is the fun of it, right? Like, we're just hanging out. Kyle says, awesome. I'll be driving out from New Hampshire, so it will be good to meet someone. VOBS is Vermont Overland. Ooh. I am kind of bullish And again, in the interview with Matt McClellan, the Ozarks Overland guy, we actually talked about this because we were talking about like where you would want to go. And it always kind of centers on west, right? Like, we want to go to Moab or we want to go out west. But he brought up a good point that there's a lot of like really cool stuff out east that just does not get enough exposure. Like, people just don't talk about it. And I will say, like, being in West Virginia convinced me of that. Like, I had no idea. I thought it was just going to be kind of boring gravel roads and stuff. You know, maybe there might be some mountainous stuff, but we'd be on like concrete and stuff. But it was pretty wild out there. Like, there were some cool water crossings. There were some awesome like trails through the state park. And we were like, state park, like that's going to be maintained. And it was not. It was like rutted out stuff. There were a couple times where I was like, I might have to get recovered here. I made it through everything okay. But I mean, there were definitely some spots where I was like, this is a road? Like, are you serious? But it was awesome. It was like, that was the best part of the trip, was taking those super challenging trails. All right, so yeah, Jack says he's going to look up VOBS, Vermont Overland. Last year I had 250 rigs. Okay, that sounds cool. I'm going to look that up too. Yeah, and if I find it, then I'll put a description down in the link, or I'll put a link down in the description for anybody to come back to just to be able to find that really easy. So that sounds cool. Cool. All right, I'm caught up on chat. All right, so websites for finding trails is where we were. We talked about Gravel Map. We talked about free campsites. You know, I'm kind of obsessed, and you guys tell me if you've seen these things too. These van life people, they have some tricks, man. Like, I'm just fascinated by van life people. I have kids and I have a house, so I can't ever do it. But like, there's something really interesting to me about being able to literally live out of your vehicle for like extended periods of time, right? And some of these videos though that I've watched, I just watched them out of curiosity, but they have all these tips for like boondocking and like refilling your water from places, and like, it's crazy how much stuff these people have figured out because they have to, right? They live in their cars. So like, how do you refill your 7-gallon water jug if you don't have a house, right? Without getting in trouble and without stealing and, you know, that kind of stuff. Where can you park? Where can't you park? Where is it safer to park than other places? I'm kind of interested. I don't know if I'll ever do it. My truck is way too outlandish and like obvious, but like these people that do like the urban stealth camping is just freaking cool. Like, if you can't drive the 10 hours away to go to a trail, like, I just kind of find it fascinating that these people like have like stealth out vans or whatever, and they'll go and they'll park in downtown Indianapolis and they'll like just be cooking food in their little van and watching TV on their little TV, and like no one has any idea that they're in there, and they just drive around and like stop and eat dinner somewhere at some cool restaurant, go back outside of the street and hop in the car and cook, you know, a dessert or something, you know. Like, it's just so cool. But so like, there are a lot of, where I'm going with this, there is a reason for this, is I'm talking about like places to find content on, you know, how to find trails or how to find neat places that you may not have heard of. And there are a ton of those van life people that are making videos about all kinds of cool places that maybe most of us have never even heard. So check those out. And then I've talked about Matt a few times, Matt McClellan of the Ozark Overland thing. He has a ton of really good videos, and I've actually been watching quite a few of them to kind of learn more and more about Gaia. But he has like 15-20 minute videos where he literally instructs you on, and he coaches and does some of those classes at expos and stuff like that. I think he's teaching a class, he said, at Rendezvous in the Ozarks this year on Gaia. So like, this dude knows his stuff. So he's got a bunch of videos and stuff on how to use Gaia, how to switch between the different maps, what map layers he uses, all that kind of stuff. So I definitely would say check him out too, because he's got some really cool stuff. I think I've got a link to his video down in the description too, but if not, I'll put it in there, because there's one that's just like beginner's guide to Gaia, and I watched that and I feel way better about it already. So all right, so this says in the chat, Kyle says you camp pretty much on the guy's land and then hit rated class 4 unmaintained roads. That sounds awesome. It's talking about VOBS. Jack says Adventure X is sold out. Yeah, they sold out like yesterday. They capped it at 100 rigs. Enoch, hey buddy. Moleisures, welcome. Dylan says I've seen some crazy vans that can do better than a lot of our vehicles. I know, isn't it crazy? Like, and they live in them. Like, that's just something so cool about. Like, if I didn't have a mortgage, dude. I'd have a rad van that I could live in too. All All right, so Enoch says we've been boondocking for a long time now, and Overland. Yeah, Overland. Why didn't I think about that? That's a great point. Here, I'll pull that up. I need to add that to my description, don't I? Overlander. Yeah, okay, here, I'll turn my screen back on. See, this is why I needed you guys. Good call. So, yeah, Moleisures Adventures says Overlander. I totally forgot all about that app, so good on you. But yeah, so this one is definitely one. I've used this a few times, and I do like it. It wasn't at the top of my mind when I was writing this stuff up. Cool. So yeah, so this is a good site. You know, you can throw in stuff. I can throw in Hoosier National Forest, I'm sure, right? And maybe it will go. Maybe it doesn't know where that is. It's called Bloomington, Indiana. Can you take me there? Oh, see, now the page doesn't work. It is crowdfunded. Oh, maybe it's because I haven't donated. That's why. Okay. They tried to make me donate. Look at this stuff, though. Man, they got so much stuff. So many places to go. That's the best app you found so far? Well, and you guys really do it. So, like, if you guys aren't familiar with Moleisures, they, like, were, before the COVID stuff, they were, like, traveling around the whole country. And they have got some epic pictures on their stuff. So, yeah, like, I go on trips, right? I go on, like, if I'm lucky, a week-long trip. These guys were, like, living out of their vehicle. So they definitely know some stuff about this. Jack says, core tickets are almost sold out. Interesting. Overland is strong through the COVID. All right, cool. So yeah, so like this one is pretty good. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to start using Overlander a little bit more on my trips because it just never really occurred to me too much. All right, so here we got here's Hoosier National Forest. So these have to be dispersed campsites. Oh, there's Horse Camp. Twin Trees, yeah, what is that? Large campsite in the Hoosier National Forest. Dispersed camping is legal. Yeah, okay, yeah. Overlander is pretty cool. I forgot all about that. Good call. Cool, so yeah, that's another one. I will add that to the description as well. And then the last one that I had in my list anyways was Gaia, of course. That seems to be sort of like the hot button one. That's who like the lifestyle overland folks use. Like there's quite a few people who use it. The maps are beautiful. I mean, I'm always hesitant with any pay service just because you have to pay for it, and I'm cheap. But there are always discount codes for Gaia. There are a lot of I feel like Gaia does a really good job of like working with other people, like working with content creators and stuff like that to hand out either like free subscriptions. So like on overlandradio.com right now, if you do the whole there's a contest of. You can put a picture of your rig up on there and a description of your rig and get entered to win a year's subscription for free of Gaia. So if you haven't done that, go to overlandradio.com and put pictures of your rig in there. I am not eligible because I'm on there. So I found that out the hard way as I was trying to put it in. And I hit up Lee and he told me, no, you can't win. So, but you guys can. But like, I feel like they give out like coupon codes and discount codes and stuff or free like year-long subscriptions to this thing. And I really think it's not too bad, right? Like how much is Gaia? I forget. Like there is this free version that you can still use that's fine, but then I think if you pay for it, it's like, what is it? $50 a year? Something like that, I feel like. Oh, it's not even that. Premium's like $36 a year. So, I mean, that's pretty cheap, Like that's pretty cheap. So I feel like Gaia is good. Does anybody else use Gaia? Post up in the comments if you use Gaia. I'm just curious, like, tell me the truth, because every single content producer on YouTube talks about Gaia. And I'm sure that it's great. Like, I've looked at it, and I've started to watch some videos, and I'm gonna make myself... Yeah, Lifestyle Overland, I'm pretty sure always has a discount somewhere. But I'm gonna start... I need to get better at this stuff, right? Like, this is something that I need to be good at, especially as I take more and more trips, which is the plan. Like, I'm not always going to be able to rely on somebody that's in the area to lead me around. So I just need to get better at it. And I need to get a better tool than Google Maps to use when I'm out on the trail that I can use when I'm offline. So I'm gonna be doing Gaia GPS stuff, and I'm gonna try and find people that are, like Matt, that are into the Gaia stuff, that can maybe come on and tell me more about it and teach me a little bit about it. But tell me, like, if you guys have used Gaia, let me know if you guys like it, if you hate it, if it's worth the money, if it's not. Kurt says he's played with the free version of Gaia, but don't know enough to work it well. Yeah, so Enoch says that Moleisures uses it for downloaded trails. Yeah, I just feel like there's like a learning curve, right? To me, it reminds me of like Photoshop or something like that, where it's like, oh, I know that this is a fantastic tool, but I've got to spend like an hour or two like actually watching YouTube videos and learning it. Kurt says there's a whole Gaia tutorial thread on Overland Bound forum, but he hasn't spent the time to dive super deep yet. Yep, Kyle says big thread on Overland Bound forums about Gaia. Yeah, so like that's the thing, right? There's just that initial curve. There's that little barrier to entry that you've got to get past first. But I feel like it's definitely got to be worth it. Again, like historically, my trips have been, fairly short and generally to a place that I've been, or I'm with somebody that is familiar with the area and is taking me. But I like to go solo more than anything. So if I'm going to be going, I've got to get a favorite map app and I've got to get good at using it, or I'm going to be screwed. So cool. What else? The whole year will be mainly using Gaia for Trail Guru Pro for offline road navigation. What's Guru Pro? Yeah, it has curve. There's a big thread. Okay, so yeah, so Overland Bound has a thread. I will try and find that and post that up in the description. I'm going to put a note here, post up link to Overland Bound Gaia chat, Gaia tutorial, we'll call it. Cool. I'm going to put a link to Moleisures too, to all their channels, because they have been doing this, so you need to follow them too, because they've got some really cool pictures and stuff of that. So aside from Gaia, what else is there out there, right? Like, I mean, Google Maps, sure, Gaia. I'm trying to think. Oh, I'm using my phone to record, so I can't look at it. I've had a bunch of like free apps. Like if you just search for like Overland GPS on the App Store, like there are a ton of apps that are free for navigation, but I feel like they all suck, right? Like I've used most of them, and I'm like, this doesn't really do me any good. Like my biggest restrictions that I run into, I think the most, are like not being able to save a location when you're offline or something like it's the same problems I have with Google Maps. Guru Pro is an offline turn-by-turn navigation app. Okay, cool. Some people use it on X. Oh, hey, Chad, Overland Addict. But Chad says he doesn't care for it. Some people use OnX. What is OnX? I've never heard of that before. Yeah, I feel like Gaia is a good option. I just need to get over that initial learning curve. OnX Hunter is better, and the Overlander version. Oh, it's a hunting app. That's kind of interesting. I mean, that makes sense that you could use it for navigation while overlanding and stuff too. Very cool. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to look all these up. So whenever we finish up here, then I'm going to look all these up, and I'm going to put links to them in the description. So if anybody's looking, then they can find it. Kurt says Onyx is a hunting map where it started. I think they're trying to move it into overlanding. Okay, Chad, Overland Addict, says Gaia is the best in his opinion. And I know you've done a lot of navigation and stuff, like your own trips. Unlike me, where I kind of just like ride along with people. Not a fan of OnX, says Enoch of Moleisures. And again, he's been doing it. So how long were you guys on your trip, Enoch? It was like months and months before the COVID stuff shut you down, I think. So OnX has two versions, 4x4 and hunting. Get the hunting X on. One good thing about hunting apps is using them for finding private land versus public land. Let's see, man. Manrad, hey, do you have a recommendation for a good all-around socket wrench set to have in the car? That's a good question. I kind of made a bastardized version. I just took my own wrenches and sockets, and actually it's here on the floor. I've got this cool tool roll, which I don't have my tools in right now, but this tool roll that I got from last US Bags. Really cool stuff, but you can throw your tools in here and roll it up. That's my plan, though, is to take my existing stuff. So I kind of have, I have like 5 tool tool storage devices in my garage right now, but I have one that I've dedicated to like where I know where it's like my main tool set, so I can use it in the garage, or when I go on a trip I can just quickly grab that thing. That is going to be, the tool roll is going to be more dedicated, so I've got to figure out what I can go without. Like what if it was in the truck and I didn't have access to it at home, I could live without, that I need it on the truck. So I don't know that there is one, like, I mean there probably is like one master tool kit that you should take with you, but I feel like every vehicle is different, right? Like I know on my Xterra most things are 10s, 14s, 19s, and then like the lugs are 21 millimeters. So like for me, like I don't need a full, socket set. I just need like 4 sockets and I can pretty much do anything to the Xterra. So that's kind of, I'm building my own based on the vehicle that I've got. So hopefully that answers your question. And then Dylan says, what is the best, coolest rig that you have seen or heard of? 4 months. Oh yeah. So Moleisures says 4 months they were on the road before the COVID stuff hit. Chad from Overland Addict says Gaia has private land layers. So that's good to know. That always makes me nervous. I don't want to piss anybody off, right? And like, I don't know what I'm doing. Is that a last US bag roll? Yes. Yeah, it is. So yeah, I'll put a link to that in the description too for you. I think it's really inexpensive. I think it's like $25 or something too. And it's like waxed. They call it the Wax-A-Million tool roll, but so that it's like waterproof and it'll keep your tools dry. Have you completely taken over the garage yet? I need to find that layer. The infamous 10 mil socket. I have multiple 10 mil sockets. I'm so OCD about my stuff that I like never, I use it and then I put it away. Even if I'm going to use it again, I still put it away just so I don't lose it. I don't even leave it sitting like near me when I'm working on it. I go back and put it in the tool chest and then go back and get it when I need it the next time so I don't lose it. So Dylan, were you asking me what is the best, coolest rig that you've seen or heard of, or are you asking somebody in the chat? Because that's a loaded question. I don't know what the best answer for that would be. I mean, you guys know that I love Nissans. I've seen some really cool like classic patrols, and those things are just sexy. Like, cause you never see them ever. You never see them. Cause they weren't really over here, but there are some that are being imported over here, and like 70s, 80s patrols, and they're just, oh my God, they're so cool. And if I could have anything, like if I had all the money in the world, I'd just buy an old patrol. I'd buy a beat up one because I'd feel bad if I bought a really pristine one and then lifted it and put big tires on it and actually took it on trips. Oh, me. Okay. Dylan is asking about coolest rigs that I've ever seen. So, I mean, like, so the patrols, old school patrols are cool. But I mean, like, there are a ton of real ones. I had a buddy, and it wasn't anything special, but he had 35s on a Tundra, and I mean, that thing was a beast, and he did everything that I've ever done in my Xterra, most of it in two-wheel drive easier than me. So that thing's pretty cool. Jack says his Tacoma is the best overland rig ever. Chad says that the private land filter is under feature weather overlays. That's good to know. Enoch says would love a patrol. Yes. So like that's the thing. Here, I'll show you something here quick. Let me go and try and find it before I pull up the screen. But vehicle importers, what are they called? There's this website that they're like out in California, and I stalk them. Top Rank Importers is what it's called. Let me show you here. This website, like these guys are after my heart. And you notice that there's a lot of Nissans on here, right? So like that is why. But look at these things. So like they just bring in the coolest stuff, like tons of Skylines. And so if they're 25 years or older, then you can legally own them as a classic car in the US. Like look at this old school Nissan POW for 10 grand. Like Nissans are so weird and quirky. Like I would love to have this like SEMA, right? Like this old school, it's basically like the Q sedan in Japan. But they're just sick, and they've got all this amazing stuff. But they had a patrol, and they sold it a long time ago. But like, look at this old Mitsubishi Delica 4x4 van. They got this little tiny 86 Honda trucky thing that's rad. Like these, and it's like $8,500. Like, it's amazing. So these guys have got some cool stuff. You can see though, I wonder if I can say, nope, that's not what I want. But like they have like sold inventory, and I'm sure that they won't. It's so old now. But they had this patrol that was like an 86 patrol, and it was amazing patrol. Here, do you still have that? Look at this thing. A 1980 patrol. Look at the condition of this thing, guys. 71,000 miles. A 1980 patrol, 71,000 miles. 3-speed manual, 4x4. Look at that. Like, but I couldn't buy that, right? And then like go take it off road. I don't know that I could. I don't know that I could be that guy. I would feel too bad, but I would drive the shit out of it around town. Like I would just roll up to the grocery store in that thing. I would take the family to like school in it. Like, oh, that thing is so cool. And I guarantee you that this thing runs for another 15 years, you know? So like this is coolest vehicle that I've heard of or seen. Like for a Nissan guy, for me, to be able to buy something like this would be amazing. The funny thing is too, I think this went for like 25 grand, which is a lot, but like it's not unreasonable. Yeah, they took the price off after they sold it. But I'm pretty sure it was like $24,995. So this is what I would buy. If I could buy anything, the coolest vehicle for off-roading that I could get, I think the Patrol would be it. Because that thing is just rad. It's just so cool. All right, so back to the chat here. Overland Addict says, get the premium subscription and you can turn on multiple layers at once. That's the key. I've heard that. That's pretty cool. Andrew is here. Hey, Andrew. I didn't watch the time and missed the start again. That's okay. That's okay. We're kind of at the end now. I've kind of run the gamut of showing everyone how little I know about navigation. But see, we're all learning together. And now we're on to like what is the coolest vehicle that I would like to own, and it's this. So we're totally off topic, but you know, that's what happens when you live chat. It's okay. I had a good time. Do you guys have anything else? We're still here for you, man. Thanks, Kurt. Or you're here for Andrew. Okay, good. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? We've been at it for about 50 minutes. I think we can probably call it a night. We got through all the GPS stuff. I hope that was helpful and somewhat educational for you guys. At least, if nothing else, to see that I don't know what I'm talking about, right? My advice would be just find someone that knows what they're talking about and go with them. Like, if I go to the Ozarks, I'm going to call up Chad and I'm going to say, hey, let's go. Take me around. Please chauffeur me. So yeah, that's my advice. Find someone that knows the way. If you can't do that though, it sounds like Gaia is probably the best way to go. So again, I'm going to spend some time in Gaia. I'm going to try and learn some stuff. Maybe at some point I will do a video of like, once I'm actually knowledgeable of it, maybe I'll put together a video that's like, hey, newbies, here are the pitfalls to avoid. Here are the quick ways to get from A to Z, that sort of thing. So that could be a video coming in the future. Dylan says a patrol would be awesome. I know, man. Like, it's all about the uniqueness for me, you know? The uniqueness. Like, there are a dime a dozen, like, old Land Cruisers and stuff, and they're super cool trucks. I love 80s and 100s, and they're all awesome. Andrew's stirring up shit in the chat. He says he's sad that no one participated in the trailer discussion after last week's episode. Yeah, go to the Facebook page, look at the picture of the M1101, and jump in there and tell Andrew what you want to know. All right, Kurt says, Fletch, what's your Memorial Day weekend plans? I don't have any. The weather sucks. In Indiana, it is all rain all the time. So I think Saturday it might be okay. So I might try and actually get all of the family out. And we might go camping for a night. Andrew on Facebook. So on the All Things Overlanding page, Facebook page, I tagged Andrew. There's a picture of his M1101 trailer like sitting up with the tongue sticking up. Look for that. But I tagged him on there, and then he went through and posted a bunch of really good pictures of like his M416 build and his M1101 build that he's working on. And like after the last week's discussion, a lot of people were like wanted to like show off trailers or talk about trailers. So if you want to use that thread as a way to sort of like chat more, he wants to know more about other people's trailers. So yeah, just scroll down the page a little bit on the Facebook, the All Things Overlanding Facebook page, and you'll find that the picture of the M1101. And then there's just tons of stuff in there from Andrew that's really good. So definitely jump in there. Buy some beer and ditch the purple can. Yeah, I know, right? If you want to hear a funny story, Dylan says he doesn't have Facebook. God, you're so lucky. I wish I didn't have Facebook. It's such a bad distraction. But like with this, like it is a great place to chat. And again, for like the research, like, don't even put your picture on it. Like, just have a blank profile or something. But you can find such good stuff from people about where to go in different areas. You know, problems with your vehicle. You can find good stuff on there. There is some good stuff on Facebook, but God, I hate the notifications. But the funny story about the beer is, I bought beer 2 days ago. And I was like, I'm going to save it for this weekend when I go camping. And then like night one, I'm like, yeah, I'll have 6 of them. And so I did. And then I mentioned that I'm dying here, and I've been up. I was basically up till 2:30 last night, and then I had to get up at 7:30 and start working today. I drank the rest of that 15 pack last night. I was just bored, and I was watching Fastest Car. If you guys have seen that show, it's on Netflix. It's like they take a supercar, and then they take 3 sleeper cars, like junked out, like old Honda beaters that have like 700 horsepower, and they line them all up, and they do a 4-wide drag race at the end of the episode. You could pretty much skip the first 20 minutes of the show because it's all just like they're someone in their family passed away, and then that inspired them to build this car, and then like that's the story for every single person. Something terrible happened to them, and then they bought a car, and they wanted to make it as fast as a supercar, but they couldn't afford a supercar. And then these like super snotty people roll in, and they roll in their like McLaren, 720S, and they get out, and they're like a rapper or something, and they're just like, let's go, let's race. And they just piss everybody off, and then they go and they race. So it's pretty interesting. So yeah, anyways, all right, let's wrap this up. I'm totally lost the thread here, but it's been fun. I appreciate it. I appreciate the questions and the asides are fun too. But yeah, go to the Facebook page, the All Things Overlanding Facebook page, find the picture of the M1101 trailer, and dump in your pictures of your trailers, questions that you guys have about trailers. That's the spot for chat about trailers from last week's thing. So definitely do that if you want to talk about trailers. The only other thing, so I'll wrap it up for the radio side too. So again, I mentioned it in the middle of this thing, but if you haven't already, go to overlandradio.com, especially talking about Gaia stuff. If you look on there, there's a thing that says contests. You can put in a couple pictures of your rig and a description of it, and you get entered to win a year subscription of Gaia anyways for free. So that's a way to get some Gaia right now. Go there and check that out. Again, if you're new, if you're not one of the regulars on the channel, bye Jack. If you're not one of the regulars on the channel and you're new to this and this is the first video of mine you've ever watched, welcome. And definitely check out the rest of the videos. If you liked the video, click the like button, click the subscribe button to be notified when new videos drop. Come hang out on Facebook, hang out on Instagram. If you like podcasts, just search All Things Overlanding on all the podcast channels and you'll find me over there. And again, I'll put all the links to that stuff down in the description below as well. And then all the stuff we talked about tonight, I'll go back through and I'll find it. I will post up links to it for you guys. So if you want to reference this again later, just make it as easy as possible for you guys to find all those different websites we talked about. So thank you guys, everybody, for hanging out. Kurt says, hope everyone has a good weekend. Take care, gang. Fletch, this has been great as always. Hope you keep it going, even after COVID craziness. I will. I like these quite a bit. So we'll see you, Kurt. We'll see everybody. Thank you, everybody. Andrew, Chad. I'm going to try and go through and tell all of you. Enoch. Who else we got? Dylan. Who else? We had the hiking. Where'd you go? Jack, Dylan, I already said Kurt. God, I've already said all of you guys. Thank all you guys for hanging out. Kyle, thanks. Good to see you. I think we probably lost hiking guy. That hiking guy. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. That was everybody. So yeah, thanks guys. And we'll see you next week. All right. Take care. I'll post up on the Facebook page about ideas for the topic for next week.